You are welcome to yet another episode of HN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show, where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. They say that the truth always has a way of surfacing no matter how deeply it may be buried beneath layers of deception, manipulation and greed. Yet in the case of R. Kelly, a celebrated music icon and the king of R&B, the truth has been twisted beyond recognition. A man who gave the world decades of timeless music, a man who mentored young artists and inspired millions around the world now finds himself behind bars, not because of crimes he committed but because of opportunistic greed and a society eager to sacrifice him at the altar of public outrage. This is not just the story of an artist brought down. This is the story of betrayal, deception and of a system that rewards those who cry wolf whenever there is money to be made. It's quite entertaining to watch just how quickly the tides turn when there is financial incentive. R. Kelly's accusers were never helpless victims. On the other hand, they were always willing participants in the relationships they had with him. It's rather shocking that some of them went as far as to lie about certain important facts like their age, creating elaborate schemes just to be in relationships with him. They pursued him relentlessly, they idolized him and they did everything they could to win him over. And when they had their moment in the sun, when they basked in the luxury and attention, there was no mention of abuse, no sign of regret but only admiration and devotion to whatever benefits it came with. However, when the opportunity arose to cash in, to flip the narrative and to become famous in their own right, suddenly the story changed. And just overnight, what had been enjoyable consensual relationships transformed into tales of alleged victimhood, carefully crafted to fit the media's hunger for another scandal that would take R. Kelly to prison with it. They were coached, rehearsed and given a stage. Their words no longer their own but shaped by government attorneys, documentary producers and book publishers who saw dollar signs in R. Kelly's downfall. The same people who promised him love and affection branded themselves as victims of abuse and alleged exploitation. Even more disturbing is the role that many of these accusers' parents played in orchestrating this betrayal. It is important to note that these were not innocent, unsuspecting young girls led astray. Many were introduced to R. Kelly with the full knowledge and encouragement of their parents who saw him not as a predator but as an opportunity. Mothers and fathers willingly brought their daughters to his concerts, arranged meetings backstage and pushed them into his life, all in hopes of securing a better future whether through music deals, financial support, or sheer association with a powerful celebrity. And when their daughters finally got what they wanted, when they lived the life they had dreamed of, there were no complaints. Not a single accusation of wrongdoing came up. In fact, no police reports were referred to as evidence of any form of distress during their stay with the R&B King simply because no one felt the need to report abuse that didn't exist. Yet when the media narrative shifted and the tide turned against R. Kelly, those same parents conveniently forgot their own involvement. Instead of admitting that they had placed their daughters in these situations, they painted themselves as victim parents pretending they had no idea of what was allegedly going on. And just like the accusers, these parents too cried crocodile tears on television screens, rewriting history to absolve themselves while ensuring R. Kelly paid the ultimate price. And as though to concede that the accusers and their parents had been in cahoots to blackmail and take down R. Kelly, one government prosecutor right after the Chicago trial did state that by allowing to become government witnesses against R. Kelly, they had successfully vindicated themselves.
Their courage in coming forward, their perseverance and their resolve to be here years later to tell their story is truly remarkable. And these verdicts, these guilty verdicts in this case, it vindicates them. And not only vindicates...
One may wonder, vindicated from what if they were not active role players in this game of blackmail against the R&B King? Meanwhile, timing is everything. If R. Kelly was truly guilty of any of these allegations against him, why did it take so long for these stories to emerge? Why did these women who supposedly suffered so greatly on his account continue to be around him for years long after they were legally adults and capable of walking away? In fact, some like Faith Rogers were already adults when they met him. Why should he be charged for those cases? Even the ones who claim were underage were right at the border of turning 18. Leaving us wondering how the court was able to determine that any sexual relationship started out before they crossed over to adulthood. On matters of alleged trafficking, how can a man be accused of this, yet there is evidence to show that in some instances, Azriel's own mother delivered her herself to meet with him? And why did they remain silent until there was a financial incentive to speak up in form of restitutions? Until media platforms offered them book deals, TV interviews and restitution payments were promised. The answer is simple: because there was no crime. Only regret turned into profit. And they weren't traumatized at all. R. Kelly was a victim of opportunists playing the long game, and waiting for the right moment to rewrite history in their favor. The courts may have handed down a verdict, but certainly justice was not served. R. Kelly was not convicted on the basis of solid evidence, but on the weight of emotion, media hysteria and the sheer power of a public narrative built on lies. He was presumed guilty long before he had a chance to ever defend himself, and convicted in the court of public opinion before stepping foot in a courtroom. The inconsistencies in testimonies, the lack of concrete proof, and the glaring motives behind these allegations were all ignored by the courts. The justice system, which should be built on facts and fairness, was instead bent under the weight of external pressure and the temptation to make an example of a man who had already been tried in the media. It is no coincidence that the loudest voices against R. Kelly were the ones with the most to gain. Accusers who sought reality TV fame, those who wrote tell-all books, and those who accepted money for interviews are the people whose words were taken as gospel truth despite their clear conflicts of interest. Meanwhile, those who knew the truth and defended him were silenced, ignored, and branded as enablers. What we are witnessing here is not justice. It is the destruction of a legacy that R. Kelly built with sweat. A man who poured his heart and soul into his craft is now reduced to nothing more than a headline, and his name dragged through the mud by those who once praised him. He is not the predator they paint him to be. He is a man who was betrayed, manipulated and ultimately sacrificed for financial gain. If we truly believe in fairness, if we believe in truth, we must ask ourselves, when did consensual relationships become crimes? And when did we start condemning people based on narratives built on greed rather than evidence? And most importantly, who will be next? If R. Kelly, a man with fame and resources, could not escape the clutches of this corrupt system, what does that mean for the rest of us? The fight for truth is not over yet. The world may have turned its back on R. Kelly, but history will remember the injustice done to him. And one day, when the dust settles and when the lies can no longer stand against the weight of truth, the world will see what this really was. Certainly not a case of justice, but a calculated takedown fueled by money, deception and betrayal. If you want to be featured in our video releases, send us your clips by emailing them to hnnewsroom242@gmail.com or use Google Drive for larger files. Be sure to include your name and any details you'd like us to know. We can't wait to showcase your contributions. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say. To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also remember to hit the bell icon and enable notifications. And feel free to share your opinions with us in the comment section below, and let us know if you would like us to publish your views in our next release. We value all our subscribers' opinions.